So if you could just start off by introducing yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about your role here and what you do.
My name is Tammy Derrickson, and I am the Senior Services Director for the City of Middleton.
All right, awesome. And how did you find out about this career? How did you get interested in working with seniors? Or
I kind of fell into the career by accident, actually. I graduated from UW Stout in 1990, so that's a long time ago. At the time when I graduated, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I actually had a degree in graphic design.
Oh, really?
So my life took kind of a whole different track.
Mm-hmm.
I saw there was a position open as a assistant activity director at a nursing home.
Okay.
And I applied for that position, and I really enjoyed the job. But I decided that I would like to kind of build a career around that job. So I looked for positions that were open that would help me do that. I wound up being promoted to activity director then of a facility that housed 165 residents. So I did that for a while. And then I made a move to a community-based residential facility for people that had Alzheimer's disease. I started as the assistant director there, was promoted to director after about 3.5 years. And so then I ran that facility for about another 3.5 years.
Wow.
Until locally in the community that I lived in, the senior center director had decided to take another position. So I was able to apply for that job and became a senior center director. And I stayed at that facility for 22 years before coming here to Middleton this last year.
Wow, that's quite the journey from
A little
graphic
bit,
design
yes.
to here.
A little bit of a journey, yes.
That's awesome. So would you say that most people kind of fall into this role, or would you say what kind of common entry-level jobs would you say? Would you say it's like the assistant program director is pretty common to kind of filter into this?
Not necessarily. I think probably today it's a little bit harder track. Most senior center directors have college degrees.
Okay.
I was fortunate to kind of work my way up. Working your way up does happen in senior centers. In fact, recently we just promoted someone who had been here 12 years to assistant director. So it certainly can happen. I mean, experience and hands-on experience is a very valuable thing.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And then what would you say you like most about your job?
What I like most is that no 2 days are ever the same. When I come in the morning, I can have sort of a loose plan, but usually that goes by the wayside and something else comes up. It's also a job where I get to do a variety of different things.
Okay, that's nice. And would you say that the work you do is kind of more behind the scenes, or do you interact with the community or the people who come to the senior center, or is it kind of a mix?
It's really a mix.
Okay.
I do a lot more of the work behind the scenes at this senior center than I did at the previous center I was at.
Okay.
Here I have a larger staff. However, I really like to still have my hands on the pulse of the people coming in, because that's how I kind of figure out what the trends are going to be, and I kind of figure out what they want and what they're thinking. So hands-on in this position is really important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
And speaking of trends, what kind of are the current trends that you're seeing in your role or as in the recreation field, especially for seniors right now?
Health and wellness has been a big trend really for the last 10 years among senior centers, and that is continuing to grow. I mean, we cannot offer enough exercise classes right now.
Sure.
I think another trend coming down the road will be specifically targeted exercise programs depending upon what health needs people have. One trend coming down the pike right now is exercise programs specifically for people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, especially people with Parkinson's, because it's very important that you physically move and use those muscles. So that exercise trend just has not gone away in the last several years.
Okay, that's cool. And how many programs do you offer here at the Senior Center?
We have a wide variety of programs, roughly 125 a month,
Wow.
and then it changes all the time. So you have some of those regular programs that you offer every week, every month, and then you have those things that you might offer once a month. So it just depends on what you're able to obtain out there in the market for your people.
That's cool that you're able to offer so much.
Yes.
So what are some big projects that you're working on right now, or that you've maybe just finished up doing for the Senior Center or in your job?
Big projects that we have towards the end of the year, about October, we start laying out what the next year is going to look like. Okay. So we sort of do that very loosely. We plan all of our trips. This center has a very active travel program. So we'll lay that all out for the coming year, see where that's going to fit in our budget.
Sure.
Any of our larger programs, we'll start laying those out as well, again, considering the budget. We also, this last year, just did 2 very large Quilts of Valor programs for local veterans. And so we plan on doing that again next year. And those are all large events that you have to consider and think about.
Sure. And what would you say are kind of the challenges to this job? You mentioned the budget a lot, so I'm sure that kind of puts some restraints on programming, but what other things?
The budget would be one of those, taking that all into consideration, seeing where that's going to fit. I think some of the other challenges are the actual design of your facility. Can you handle and offer programming and have it be conducive to the building you're in? And that's somewhat what we're struggling with right now. Is that we have a lot of people coming in the door, a lot of demand for programs, but we don't necessarily have the space for that. So that's something we're looking at right now.
Yeah, that's cool. What skills, abilities, and personal attributes do you think are most important for someone who's interested in this field?
I think the number one thing that I've drawn upon in the course of my career certainly is creativity and the ability to think outside the box and the ability to project and think about things before they happen. That is vitally important to keeping the facility moving forward, and those are the things that I think have really benefited me over the years.
Yeah, I'm sure some things don't always go as planned. You kind of gotta
there's always a plan B. Yes, you always have to have a plan B.
All right. And what do you wish someone would have told you before you started this job?
I think I wish someone would have told me the amount of time it takes to do this job. It is not a 9-to-5 job.
Sure.
It is oftentimes can be very early in the morning. It can be very late at night. So it takes a lot of dedication to making all of what looks really easy on the surface is a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is. It sounds like a lot of work. And then who do you depend on in the community to help you run the programs or to help you run your facility? And are there any connections you've made that have strongly benefited your work?
We have many, many community connections. I mean, it's really about community connections. We rely on the community for programming. We find instructors throughout the community. We work a lot with Dane County here at this particular center. We have case management services and nutrition services. So we run a Meals on Wheels and a dine-in nutrition site. So we're always working with Dane County. We work with Alzheimer's Association. We work with a lot of people. The National Council on Aging. Any of those aging-related programs, we're always pulling information from. But I think one really important thing in Dane County is that we look to other senior centers as well for partnering with and getting information from them as well.
Sure, it's probably a nice community to have, especially for support and space and that kind of thing.
Yes, it is. And Dane County's fortunate that we have a number of senior centers right here in this county.
That's cool. And then how do you go about kind of making those connections? Do you reach out or do you have...
It's a combination of things. There's actually an organization called the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers. Sure. And so many of the senior centers across the state are members of that. We also connect on social media. That's a great way. Most of those centers now have their own Facebook pages and their own pages that you can go and look at.
Nice. That's very helpful, I'm sure.
Yes.
So then what would you say is the best thing about working with the senior population or the people coming here?
Certainly, I really like working in this environment because of the stories. Every person has a story to tell, and every person has had a fascinating life. And I think once you tap into that and really get to know someone's story, that's the best part of the job. Or being able to help them directly is another real perk of the job.
Yeah, I would agree. And then you kind of touched on this, but did you know that you wanted to work with seniors, or is it just kind of something you fell upon in that first job? Or
I think it really, if I go back in my childhood, I was actually raised by my grandparents.
Okay.
So I think when I took that job many years ago in the nursing home, I felt very much at home.
Sure.
When I walk into a senior center, I feel very much at home, and I suppose it comes from being raised by two elderly grandparents.
That makes sense. That's nice, though, especially
Yes.
now that you have the community to help you with that, too. What would surprise people about your daily work?
Probably what would surprise people is how busy we are here. Sometimes senior centers get a bad rap, and people think all seniors do is come and play cards. And while some of that goes on, there's really a whole lot of other things that go on, from helping somebody in the community through phone calls, whether it's somebody stopping in, needing this, that, or the other thing. Sometimes it's having to really step outside of your job and help people with things that really have nothing to do with your job.
Sure.
But that idea of being helpful to seniors and truly helping them when they come in the building,
Yeah.
I think people don't always realize to what extent we go to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really nice to know that you kind of try to support them as they need.
Yes.
And then what kind of decisions do you make in your position, either day to day or just yearly? What kind of?
Obviously, the budget is one of those things, although that is a day-to-day decision-making process. When we decide what programs we're going to offer, what trips we're going to offer, what classes we're going to do, all of those decisions are tied back to the budget.
Sure.
Or I'm making personnel decisions, or just general how do we proceed type decisions. Perhaps there's a particular issue that's more difficult than others. What's the best way to proceed? Who do I reach out to in the community to obtain the answers? And so it can sometimes be intricate, and you're also kind of feeling your way sometimes to try to find the best solution.
Yeah, and do you have, you said you had a pretty large staff here. Do they
We
help
do.
you with those decisions, or they kind of offer support?
A lot, absolutely. We rely on each other, I think, here at this center, which is really amazing. We have an amazing staff here. Each person has their own niche or piece of the puzzle, and then it all comes together as one organization. And normally they're bringing me things, we need advice on this, or what do you think about that? Or sometimes I'll go to them, hey, what did we do in the past? What do you think about that? So it takes a lot of teamwork, really, to operate this organization.
Yeah, I bet. That's cool that you kind of support on each other and lean on each other like
Yes.
that. It's helpful, I'm sure. And what would you say is unique about the Middleton Senior Center?
One of the really unique things about this center is that we are nationally accredited. And that is a unique thing. Not all senior centers are. Essentially, it means that we run a well-rounded senior center. So it means we have those case management services. It means we're providing all those exercise and health and wellness programs and other life enrichment programs. Also means we have the nutrition program and the Meals on Wheels. So we're really touching on the majority of the aspects of aging, and that is kind of unique. Not all centers offer all of those services in one place.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that myself.
Yes.
All right. And then if you could do it all over again, would you choose the same path for yourself? And if not, kind of what would you change?
Mm-hmm. I think I probably would. One of the things I like about this job is it's considered a government job because it is a facility. This facility here is managed by the city of Middleton. So I kind of get a back seat to a lot of those things as well as
Sure.
doing the job here. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I think everybody has sort of their own track in life, and I don't know that I would do anything else.
That's awesome to hear.
Yes.
All right, is there anything else that I didn't touch on that you'd like to mention, or any final words of advice for anyone who's interested in the recreation field or even senior center management?
Well, I think as far as recreation goes, working with seniors it's a very different population. They have very different needs than, say, children or young adults do. And it's important to understand that in order to meet what those needs are. You know, oftentimes loneliness and isolation is a big problem for seniors. And so understanding the psychology of seniors, I think, is also very important to the position. And probably having been raised by my grandparents is really where I developed that at.
Okay.
It was very hands-on, and I think anyone who takes this position, they tend to learn a lot hands-on.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of a follow-up question to that, how do you kind of encourage seniors to come here and kind of reduce that isolation or that loneliness? Like, what are some tactics that you found yourself using?
We do a lot of one-on-one conversations, and, you know, a lot of that is just being out and among people and
Sure.
talking to them and engaging them in conversation, trying to offer a variety of programs that they might like or may come out to is key, because not everybody likes just one certain set of programming.
Yeah.
So our biggest outreach is through our newsletter and through the programming that we do, and through that one-on-one opportunities that we might have, whether it's someone coming into the dining site, whether it's somebody coming in for case management. There's real opportunity there to engage them in that aspect.
And then do you ever go out into the community to do outreach, or do you mostly kind of rely on people coming here specifically?
The job of a senior center director is not within the four walls all the time of the senior center. Very much so. If there is need of representation of the senior community on various committees and that kind of thing, senior center directors are a part of that.
Sure.
Sometimes senior center directors within cities sit on different committees as well, because they're representing the senior center and whatever senior needs or wants might be prevalent in the community that perhaps city leaders are not aware of. So it is the job of the senior center director to go out and be a part of the community.
Yeah, you're kind of like a spokesperson for
Yes.
them. That's so cool.
Yes.
All right. I don't have any other questions for you.
All right.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It was very informational. Any last words before?
Any last words? You have to be dedicated, hardworking, and really, really enjoy older people to be a senior center director.
Sure. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tammy.
Thanks.